convince me that O'Neill Cruz. You can't convince me that O'Neill Cruz is ever going to be worth as much as Roberto Clemente. So I kind of
I'm
hope
with
I
you
find
on
a home
that, man.
here.
I'm with you on that. You're in the right place for sure. So what's the Holy Grail item, Rick? What's your
Probably 56 Jack.
Okay, very nice. And are you a PSA or SGC guy?
I was SGC. I'm kind of on the fence right now.
Okay,
I
makes
mean,
sense.
I hope I can still be SGC.
Yeah, okay. I like that. We'll have to talk more about that later. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rick, for joining the club. And guys, for club members, I'm actually recording this so that way I can share it out with the guys that didn't make it. I got a bunch of requests from guys that were really hoping they could make it. They wanted to hear, Drew, a little bit of your story and more about Greg Moore's cards. They've been hearing a lot about it on the live show and starting to hear some of my success stories from my content. So they were eager to hear more from you. So I am going to have this recorded and I'll share it out afterwards. And I want to kick it over to Andrew Lipson. I believe this is your first meeting as well. Is that right?
It is. I go by Andy, but the
Andy.
screen says Andrew. But I'm from New York originally, but I've been in Raleigh, North Carolina for about 30 something years and collected as a kid. It was my whole life. And I did sold at shows and the whole thing. And basically had stopped collecting for like 30 years. And during COVID, went into my closet. It was kind of like something came over me, like I wanted to get back into it. So, I've kind of really got back into it and trying to really, I've gone to some nationals and I'm just really enjoying it. So it's been a blast, and I really do vintage. I don't do the new stuff either. And
Yeah.
trying to think what else you has. I'm more of a PSA guy,
Okay.
and
What's
yeah,
the
I just
what's
oh,
the
and I
Holy
love
Grail item for you?
I just love beautiful cards. I really don't necessarily have one specific card or anything like that. But when I see a card I really like, I try to make a decision. And I think I really like your philosophy. I love your content, and that's what made me kind of. Plus, I'm eager to kind of have some relationships in the over time, in the community. So that's kind of why I'm here.
Dude, that's awesome. I can't thank you enough for joining. I excited for you to be here. And yeah, we've got a great crew, guys, that comes on here. Like I said, we're growing every month and found a good spot here, man. So I want to jump as well. There's a couple. It's also funny how guys have gotten connected with one another through this meeting. Like I don't know if Craig Johnson or his buddy is on, but he got connected with somebody that he knew like 20 years ago through the club, which was pretty cool. So you never know who you'll meet and all the connections that come from it, which is awesome. I want to ask, is Dan Weiss, is this your first call or have you been on a couple?
I've been on two, I think. This is my
Awesome.
third.
Well, welcome back, Dan. I can't, it's hard to see you. You're a little bit further away from camera, so I was having a tough time recognizing you. Anyone else here is how about Chris Gunzel? Is this your first meeting?
Yep, Gordy. I'm one of the nerds that sent you a message today that I just joined because I saw Drew was going to be on, but I'll stick around.
Drew, I told
But
you.
I'm
I
a, I'm
told
a
you, man.
well, I'm a big Greg Morris fan over the last year. They've helped us sell a
Hi,
lot of stuff as
I know
well.
Chris. Yeah,
How you
That's
doing,
awesome.
Drew?
good.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be here though, Gordy. You're I just started on TikTok a couple months ago and your content's awesome.
Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate you being here. What's your what do you collect? What's the holy grail for you?
I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh, so the O'Neill Cruz thing hurt a little bit because I agree. The Clementi's my Grail card is my Clemente rookie, but I'm definitely going to be looking for a 1933 Babe Ruth at the National this year. Low grade, to be very clear. It's not going to be if I
Yeah.
can get anything over a one, even a 1.5 or 2, I'll be thrilled. But I've wanted to get that for a couple of years now. The time is right. So.
Well, awesome, dude. Well, thanks for joining. And there's a couple of guys that I'm not sure if they've got their camera on, if it's their first time or not. If they wanted to turn on and introduce themselves, feel free to. But I
Yeah,
also
real
just
quick. Hey guys, this is Miles. I
what's
don't have
up?
my video on as I'm driving. I'm from Cleveland, 52-year-old collector since I was a kid, on and off, and certainly more on right now. All genres, all players. I don't really have anything I specialize in. Love the Gaudi, love the T206 stuff. And the Holy Grail card would be Joe Jackson, Cracker Jack.
There you go. I've seen a couple of those floating around lately. It is just a
I've
beautiful
seen you
card.
trying to get rid of one over the last couple of weeks. It's been tempting.
Yeah, no, I had the Cobb, and that was a crazy deal getting into that. The Cobb and the Joe Jackson are both just phenomenal cards,
Yeah,
man. Great set. And Miles, thanks so much for joining, dude. You got good taste. Well, appreciate it, guys. If anyone else is out there that wanted to introduce themselves, feel free to stick around. We're gonna have just some open dialogue, kind of Q&A with me and then general hobby discussion after we do a little guess the card. And we got a message from Anthony Ecker. Anthony, shout out, thank you for joining. He says his holy grail is the 53 Bowman Pee Wee Reese. Anthony, you could go win one at Greg Morris. I just dropped off that. I love it. So I am going to now spotlight. Let's see if I can do a dual spotlight or if it'll just be me and Drew. Yeah, this will work for right now. Guys, I want to introduce everybody to Mr. Drew Hester. He's our special guest this week. He's from Greg Morris Cards. If you guys have been following along in my content for the last 6 months or so, I've gotten to really get closer with Drew and the Greg Morris team. Presenting sponsor Bonkers Cards Live. I've been doing awesome consignment business with you guys and have just really enjoyed getting to know Drew more. For anybody that hasn't done consignment, he is the man to go to, especially when it comes to these really nice raw cards. And I just can't wait to kind of introduce Drew a little bit more to the group, give a little bit of background. And yeah, man, if anyone has any questions about Greg Morris, we're going to be able to ask him. So, Drew, thank you so much for joining on, man.
Of course, man. I'm excited. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know, I'm personally a little excited about this. It's kind of like my opportunity to unpack you a little bit deeper because I don't even know the full story of how you got to Greg Morris Cards, how long you've been in the business. So if you could give us a little background on yourself personally and how you found your way into the hobby.
Yeah, I'm not a longtime collector at all. I've been massive into sports. I've been one of those nerd kids though at a very young age that was obsessed with sports. I did not collect cards though. I collect memorabilia. Was my big thing. I'm way into attending every ballpark, every NFL stadium. I hold NFL season tickets here in LA, Dodgers season tickets. I'm just obsessed, like die hard of everything. So that's where it kind of got me wrapped into sports cards. Is I didn't necessarily need to know about the cardboard, but I knew everything about the player. So it was very easy for me to go into it, and now it's just become a whirlwind of like dreams, and now I collect, and just crazy things have happened for it. So I kind of stumbled into this being in sports. I started a sports company on my own. I was 18, dropped out of college. It was golf related. Me and you have talked about this. I got sponsorship on the PGA Tour to travel around the PGA Tour and sponsor them and do kind of like trade show setup at every place that we went to sell our product. I ended up getting rid of that when I was like 25, and then I kind of, dabbled and figured out what I was going to do next. And then this gentleman, Greg Morris, came into my life. I started kind of brainstorming with him, and I really, I've been an entrepreneur. I've never worked for anybody. So I really wanted to create something new and kind of just do my own thing. My first instinct was like, I want to do brakes. I think brakes are the coolest thing on the planet. It was really cool 6 years ago. And now look what it is now. And Greg kind of gave me this free ring, and then some business things happened internally with them. And he was like, hey, are you interested in learning more about vintage cards and like really diving in deep? And then 4 years later, here I am now running the whole show. But I'm telling you, I kind of have a dream job. I'm very, very lucky. I get to play with cards all day. It's quite hilarious. I tell people what I do for a living. I'm not gonna
lie. I share that with you for sure. I do feel that way often as well. Like when I explain what I do for a living to people, first of all, it always gets them excited because it's different. And I personally feel like super thankful to get to do it. It's such a blast, and the hobby's been great. And it's interesting too, because I think a lot of the people that are in it from a business perspective have that entrepreneurial gene in them. You clearly do. You started your own company, where able to navigate all sorts of entrepreneurial ventures even before getting to this point. And that skill has been extremely helpful for you growing the business so much. So you've been in this category now for vintage cards for 4 years. Talk about the growth that you've been able to accomplish with Greg Morris in just that time.
Yeah, it's been pretty intense. I mean, I think since I've started, we've grown almost like 65, 75%. Last year alone was about 35%. And that was primarily just on our consignment-based items. But my goal is to come in here and make this a more well-rounded company. Unfortunately, there's this massive stigma that we are vintage raw cards only. We do have one of the biggest, most successful graded vintage consignment pages as well.
True.
So we do
Yeah.
everything. We've also started a modern side. We're not trying to compete with any of these guys selling six-figure modern cards. We just want to help people who do collect vintage, do collect graded, do collect modern. Like they have a one-stop shop they could go to, and we want to be that. That's where like my focus and my growth is also like really, really focused on. Another thing too is why you see me is we're on the road. Before I joined, Greg Morris didn't really attend shows. He was kind of the guy hidden behind, the door, the closed doors, and we're trying to get out there and get in everybody's face and kind of let them know, like, hey, look, this is what kind of company we are. We like to be very reputable, very honest, very upfront with everybody, and I think that's an image and you know information that we're getting out there, and it's helping us a lot in this growth.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it has been so nice when I go to shows. Like, I always try to make it a point to see you right away and throughout the weekend. Like, your presence there is super helpful for people like myself that do go to shows. Oftentimes, I'm looking for ways to move difficult cards for me. And because of the size of your platform, you've been able to help collectors get liquidity for their cards and allow them to buy other stuff that they might, be more interested in. And it's been really helpful for me in the referral side of it as well, because people come reach out to sell stuff to me all the time. And sometimes it's good stuff, but I don't have the audience or network for it, and you always do. And it is really incredible to see that, because that's a massive demand that the hobby needs. And yeah, it's a great point as well to call out. It's not just raw graded, raw vintage. It's everything. And that kind of brings me into my latest consignment to you, which was really nice raw vintage. And I kind of wanted to have a little bit of dialogue around that, because that, as much as it's not only what you do, it is one of the things you do phenomenally well. Like, talk about that and your ability to sell the vintage cards that, especially some of the ones that I consigned. We could talk about it a little bit. What is it about that gets the best premium on the prices?
I mean, there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of question marks too. There's sometimes I see prices and I'm like, what? I don't
Yeah.
understand. Right. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing is Greg has just built, Greg is one of the nicest, Greg Morris himself is one of the nicest, smartest men I've ever met.
Yeah.
And what he built is open honesty and transparency. And that has changed everything for his brand. He tries to be as genuine and upfront about what you're buying, what you're getting. And if there's an issue, there's no questions asked. He's going to take care of it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the brand he's really driven home there has helped us the most. And we just try to do our best every day because, you see how hard it is. Look at these grading companies. They're going through stuff every day, the volume, teaching people. I know how hard it is to teach people how to grade. It is
Yeah.
not easy. It's not
How
built as
often,
easy as
how many
hiring someone.
people work for you right now? I'm curious about that.
We have 34 employees, but we have four and a half, I would call them senior graders. And they work in like a really, really tight group. You know what I mean? They bounce everything off each other. They're always asking for different examples and things like that. So they're very knowledgeable individuals. And it's kind of one of those things. This is what I express too, is when you have these frustrations with people like SGC and PSA, you can't just hire someone like that doesn't know anything. You have to, it's such a hard process to get these individuals who have the knowledge, but not only the knowledge, you have to have the eye. Like people just aren't built for it, as I've seen now as I've been in this longer.
Yeah.
It's something very, very hard to teach. So Greg has spent countless years trying to find someone that could teach and grade like him. And we kind of finally have a good core now in this past year. So it's helped a lot. And we all see cards the same. So it helps internally a ton. And the grading factor of what he does for the visualization effect of the card is huge because, we do bulk grades together, X to X mint, VG to VGX. But majority of the time, I would say 90% of the time, we're spot on to what we graded.
Yeah.
We're human. We're going to make mistakes, obviously. Like that's a given. But that's once again, that's a part of our brand. We make that mistake. We want to make it right at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that you guys raw grading always nail it. And yeah, it is. I think that is something that gets lost when you have the scrolling and the anger at the card grading companies because they're so backlogged. And it is not like hiring a retail associate where you can train them up in 1 to 2 days, give them, the basic floor plans of a store and just good, we've got the employee. Even in today's world, even if you were just trying to hire that employee, at that rate, that is a very difficult hiring process. So like I think right now they're in a business that are very challenged to scale quickly because of the challenges of hiring and then the nuances of the expertise that they need to have. That's why you see, when people are getting hired to be graders, they're often being poached from another place that has graders, whether it be at auction houses or at other grading companies. There's not a lot of new graders that are coming into the ecosystem in the hiring environment, at least not yet. So it's a really good point, and I'm glad that you shared that. And yeah, I'm really excited for my latest consignment. I dropped a video on it on Instagram. A lot of my followers saw it and were loving some of the cards. I dropped off a beautiful 53 Bowman color Pee Wee Reese, a super nice 65 Clemente, some really great cards. So I'm excited to see that consignment. You guys will all follow along for it. I'll post the results to it, but it's been really good. And something else that I want to remind everybody as well is if anyone is ever interested in consigning cards to Drew, you can always email me. I'll always make the introduction to Drew for you guys and Greg Morris. And if anybody that you know of that is selling cards, I'm happy to make the intro for you. What I wanted to also do, Drew, is there anything else you wanted to tell the group? Because what I wanted to have as well is some time for guys to ask you questions. So I like to give a little background, introduction, small interview, and then flip it for the last like 10 minutes or so. Anything else that you wanted to make sure we covered?
I mean, no, it's pretty much it. Something I will add on to me getting into this hobby, which I'd love for you guys to ask questions. Please answer away. I mean, ask away because look, there's plenty of people that write stuff about us on Greg Morris, and I love to answer them, but I really can't. So you could ask me anything today. But one thing that I think has brought a great limelight, and I'm not trying to say I found you know the recipe for this, but not being in cards and going into this industry and being thrown in to the wolves per se of going to shows across the country every weekend or whatnot, I started to learn that there was a stigma that was like at every trade show. And it's like every man for themselves. This guy's got to buy this card, and this guy, will grind you down off of $10 or whatnot. And the community that you've provided is similar to how I view these trade shows. Is I went in there thinking, well, look, if I could just work with everyone and not have to worry about grinding someone down or beating them to the card or make sure they can make money if I'm making money and kind of share it as a community, it would only build and build to be a stronger community and a stronger hobby. And that's what I've seen kind of transpire with us, especially in the trade show space, because now, as you know, like we don't set up at shows a lot. So we don't have enough manpower. So it's usually me, maybe two other guys. We're starting to get those setups as we get more employees and get more grounded. But the community has really become really big for us to grow. Like I'll walk in to a show and the guy who buys sets down at the corner will buy a set instantly. I'll be the first person that gets the call. Like, hey, look, I'd like to keep this card, but I'd love to work with you because you work with me and you've worked with Jim. And I think that's really awesome. It's awesome to kind of represents a community that you're putting together too, which is, I think the hobby just needs that. It needs to know that, look, we're all here trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to build our collections, maybe make a little money on the side and just like really enjoy the hobby as what it is, a hobby, right? So like, I think that's awesome. And I just think the more unified that everybody gets, the better and better this hobby is going to be.
Yeah, no, I think that is something that, I really noticed about your approach very quickly. And for the business side of things, it can feel very competitive at times. And I know that not everybody on this call can fully relate to it because they're not in it on the business side. But when you do work with people that have that kind of approach that, the sum of the parts is better than just having these two kind of walls up, it makes things a lot easier. And I do believe in paying it forward. A lot of the stuff comes back around, and it certainly has in our partnership. And I've been trying to apply that in as many other places that I can. Building relationships is the best way to win in business and collecting and everything. So I do share that with you a lot, and thank you for sharing that. Is anybody out there? I have everyone on mute, but you can unmute yourself if anybody wants to kind of kick things off, ask Drew any questions. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to come off of mute, and then you could just kind of jump in. And let's see here. I'm kind of
I got one, Gordy, if I can start. It's
fire away.
I actually got two for you, Drew. First off, I'm curious, everything I've sent in the past year, and I'll echo what you say. Some of the prices, I don't understand how they go so high, but it's a good thing. And I know the collector is happy, and we're obviously happy with the sales. But like, can you tell us about like that? You said you want to do more slabs. Like, what kind of how much better do you guys do with your slabs that you sell? Because that's a little bit it seems hard to differentiate than it is for raw, where you're so respected for how strict you grade.
Yeah, so this is kind of the same transparent response I give everybody. When I see a card go into a slab, I compare it to the stock market, right? It trades at that value and it stays relatively close to that value. Um, I have always thought we were just going to be in a competitive space. Like if I sell graded cards, I'm going to be right around any type of person. What I'm seeing happen now is the high visualization cards, meaning like greatly centered, beautiful representation, doesn't matter the grade. We are seeing like an uptick where we're beating a lot of the other individuals in the public. Now, that is a case by case basis. That's not like the raw card side or things like that. The one thing I contribute to the raw card side is we are the only company that really tailors to the collector. There's no other companies out there that care about the collector. They don't care about the guy that wants to sit down and finish that 66 set and buy commons. You know, they don't. We're the only group that's left for that. So the graded side, I mean, there's a lot of record sales that I've seen us do. Unfortunately, like the product moves so fast that I can't keep track of a lot of them. But I'll go to shows and somebody will say, "I just saw you sell that PSA 4 Aaron rookie. Like, what the heck? You got $1,000 over the next person?" And I'm like, I don't even know how I did that. Right? So it's like I don't like some of it I find and look, we're all data based. Like we run data reports every single day. Like I'm not looking necessarily at every card. I'm just looking at data of years or what's trending or who's buying what. So it's hard to track down exactly why, but I can tell you that when it's a high eye appeal card, it is definitely going for a lot more when we sell it graded. That's
Yeah.
for sure. And also because NBA started selling their stuff through us with their silver and gold labels, as you guys may know. They started consigning to us years back before they were really anything, and that's where I saw the uptick start. And now it's starting to keep gradually, you know, gradually getting higher and higher every month, even without their stickers, and we see that a lot.
Yeah.
Can I? That's awesome. Thank you. Can I ask one more, Gordy, and then I'll
Yeah.
shut up?
Yep.
No, I think this will help anybody that's thinking about sending to you. I was just curious, like, I'm probably sending like once a month to you, and every once in a while you get some returns, and I'm curious if you have any feedback on like what are cards that people send maybe that get returned a lot. Like, I know there's a lot of different factors, but anything that could help us minimize wasting, your time with cards you don't need or our time.
Yeah, like I said, it's all database. So, it's not necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of other factors that go into play. But the data does turn every now and then, and we update what we should list and not list. But it really comes down to condition at the end of the day, though. The condition requirements for the years are just certain ones are sought after more than others. And I could, always supply you with that as it changes. I create a running list of, for instance, pre-war all the way till 1976 roughly, of like every individual card and what it needs to be. But it's just high representation cards. It's like all of us collectors want, you know what I mean? If I'm collecting a set, which I personally collect 1975's PSA 9s, like yeah, I want some of the best obviously, but I'm going to, if I buy anything raw, I'm going to buy the perfectly centered one. I'm going to buy, something that looks amazing. Could be really screwed up with the corners and edges, but like the eye appeal is there. That's always going to drive the prices, and it's always going to sell a lot for a lot more than anything else.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's all great points. I didn't know you were a 75 tops guy. It's great color in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when I got taught grading, and I actually was really horrible in the beginning, and the individual who was teaching me just kept bringing out 75s. So I fell in love with it. Like, man, I know every single person in this set from when I was following baseball as a kid. Like, I know every single person. And then I started buying cards, and then that's how I really learned. And you know how tough that set is with the colors and the centering. It's like,
Yeah,
to me, I find it very difficult to get high grade.
for sure.
Don't know if I'll ever complete it. I'm roughly like 60% there in all nines.
Wow. Yeah, because how many cards are in that set? That's a big set.
660.
Yeah, damn, that's
But
crazy.
the card that I will struggle to find is going to be card 660, which is Hank Aaron. In a nine, I think there's like 7 of them out there. So
Wow.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, interesting. Anyone else have questions for Drew as well? Andy, what's up?
Hey, So, Drew, thanks for all the great information first. And maybe that's your Grail card that Gordy was talking about, that 1975
Yeah, right.
PSA 9. Anyway, I I've been back in the collecting for 4.5 years, and I've started collecting some vintage sets, and I'm almost just about done with one, and I have some doubles, and some of them are really nice. Just the one other one I have is a little nicer. Some of them aren't as nice. If I've sold on Facebook groups, and nobody the heck knows who Andy Lipson is or cares, so I don't really get too much, and it takes hours, whatever. So I'm thinking about using you guys, but like if I send in certain cards for, certain sets that some are really nice and some aren't as nice. I mean, do you guys just deal with all of that, or do I have to send in specifically, okay, these are the higher, condition ones versus lower? I'm just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, no, we do it all. The cool thing is because we run set breaks daily, our inventory list is pretty robust. So, for instance, if you send me, 100 cards from 1960, let's say I'm able to use 50 of them for you. What we end up doing is I will take all the rest of the inventory I have in stock from 1960 that's relative to the same grade that you have, and I will put together a break. So, I might not be able to
Cool.
complete the whole entire set, but I
Yeah.
might be able to do 400 cards a day. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
Okay.
one thing I really changed there too is because I run into a lot of clients similar to how you're describing how you collect. And I know guys that have 50 sets, right? And they have six of each year. And it's like they're constantly upgrading, but then they're shifting those cards down to lower tiers of sets. And then it becomes kind of wild that you're holding on to six sets and three of the six are just like junk because you've upgraded, and two of them are decent, but you don't want them, but all you care about is that big one, right? So we figured
Yeah.
out a way to liquidate, but also at a peak of the data returns, right? So like if you do have that excess and I'm not able to use a lot of the cards because they are lower condition, if you did have enough per year, then we do bulk lot them. So it doesn't earn you a ton of money. You may have overpaid
I'm not.
$2 for the show, but
Yeah.
it gets
Yeah.
that bottom end of what the money you're trying to get back. We're able to get that for you, and it's also because we have people that come in that one thing I'm seeing happen a lot now is people are like, look, I'm getting older. My son doesn't want this. He doesn't care about baseball. My grandkids don't even know what the heck a sports card is. And like, I just think I'd rather sell it now, or I'd rather put it in someone else's hands that really care. Can you get rid of all of it? And it's like, yeah, we found a way to maximize the top dollar cards, the middle dollar cards, the low dollar cards, and then the stuff that doesn't matter. We figure out a way to just liquidate it for you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Anyone else out there? Thanks, Andy.
Yep.
Any other
Gordy,
questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, fire away. Who am I talking to?
It's Ryan Bornstein.
What's up, Ryan?
Hi, Drew. Thanks for getting on. I've make sure my wife can't hear you, but probably spent more on eBay with you guys than I probably should over the years. One question I have, because I do get emails occasionally that you run in auctions on your website as well, and I've looked a little. I haven't done too much on your website. How do you pick which is going eBay, what's going on your website? How do you do that?
Yeah, so little in like behind the scenes insight. We run only our consignments, and well, first off, let me step back. We're probably 70% consignment, and we're 30% items that we purchase that we sell. So these are collections that people want to just sell outright, or I go to shows and a lot of the dealers are never going to be consigners, but they'll offer me sets and things like that to give premium for me to buy them. So for instance, GMM, which is our personal website, which full disclosure, there is plenty of deals to be had on there if you guys want to sign up, because there's not a lot of members that join. We only do probably 300 to 500 cards a day. You're not going to see the high end stuff there. But you're going to see a lot of good $100 to $500 cards possibly, but a lot of other like filling sets types cards. But those are cards that we own. And that's cards that we, if they do take losses, it's completely okay. We're trying to build that on the backside. Because one thing we've seen as well is that we list between 4,000 to 5,000 cards a day on eBay. And if I up that listing, then it's even more tedious for people to look through all those cards to find it. So there's a lot of cards that slip through the cracks. So we're thinking, hey, why don't we start over here, look for newer clientele or people that don't like eBay that might like us, and all that good stuff. But those cards are cards that we have owned, that we purchased, from around the country.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
And can I ask one more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing is I buy both off your graded as well as your regular ungraded eBay stores. I've been noticing more on the graded that there are ones with no bids but a fairly high dollar number. Is that because people have come in and said that's the minimum to sell it, or is that something
Yeah,
that sellers have, tied your hands, or how's that go?
no, I mean that's also just kind of an inventory thing that we purchase as well too. We want to give people access. We know cards that people want, so we seek them and then try to buy them, and we put a 5% margin on there really to cover our eBay fee. But that's just to repopulate our inventory for high eye appeal items that you may want to buy or you may be seeking. And as you could tell, they're cards that are like that people want. I'm not putting in commons or not even really high numbers. You just see really just stars, and they're mid to high grade. But it gives that opportunity of the buyer to say, "Oh, I know where to find this card, and I know where to bid it." And we'll start the auction at a certain price, and then eventually we end up auctioning it off at 79 cents if it gets no bids after a couple of weeks. So it constantly is rotating.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And how we doing on time, Drew? Everything good on your end?
I got time.
Okay,
Got plenty
cool.
of time.
Did anyone else have any other questions for Drew?
Yeah, Drew. Maybe I don't know enough about what you got. You say you grade your own cards, but do you have slabs with Greg Morris on them?
No, we don't. What we do is we list our cards with grades associated with them as raw cards. So
Okay.
I like to say they're the visualization grade. They're not actually slabbed. We don't send any cards in for grading because we really, like I was saying before, we tailor to the collector, which in my mind, that collector still loves to purely collect the raw card. So that's our goal there. We just try to deliver a card to you that you know exactly what you're getting. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, no BS behind it. Because, I bought on eBay, still buy on eBay for work, and there's cards that I get that are not even close to the grade they represent. So, what you're bidding on is what you're getting, and that's the most important thing, and that's why we put that grade on there.
How long does it take to grade a card? Because I'd always seen that people at, say, PSA, they can do 400 cards a day or something like that. How long does it take to actually grade a card?
PSA wants you to spend roughly a minute to 2 minutes on a card, depending on the value. We're like 5 seconds.
Oh.
So we don't necessarily inspect the back of the card very fast because we have to move in such a manner when it comes to grading. If you think about it, I have to list 4,000 cards a day. We don't work on weekends. So, Monday through Friday is just an onslaught of hurrying up and making sure we're accurate and doing cards as fast as we can when it comes to grading. So we don't spend a tremendous amount of time. When the card value gets over like $200, we do spend a lot of time because we want to make sure like that mantle that you're bidding on or that Clemente, like you know what you're getting. And there's some bad actors out there that try to push cards through us all the time that are like trimmed or altered, and we have to spot that on the fly really, really fast.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, no, it is interesting the pace of which you guys are putting out so many cards. Like it's hard to conceptualize the organization that has to go into something like that. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. It's organized chaos to say the least. It's not it's not immaculate, but yeah.
I would say you're like the Energizer Bunny too, man. Like you're always on the go, going somewhere, traveling all these different shows. You're going to Nashville this weekend.
Yeah, first time going there, so we'll see how that goes.
I was gonna say, how do you like that show? Because I've never been, and it's kind of been on the radar for me.
Me and you talk about and I think we did a story on this too, is about just getting burned out overall for shows.
Yeah.
But I went last week and to the West Coast Card Show here in LA, and I'll be in Philadelphia in 2 weeks, and I'll be in Dallas in 3 weeks. But I was kind of like, you know what? I might as well just turn it up real quick until like mid-March, then take a break. So
yeah,
I'm trying this one out. And I kind of asked about 5 to 6 people, and they were like, well, we're going there. So I do have this feeling that Nashville is going to be very, very good. We're going to see a lot of like vintage collectors there.
Well, good luck out there. Keep us posted with how it goes. And then I know we've got a giveaway for Drew. So or Drew that Drew is giving us, which is super awesome. And before we get to that, because for the giveaway, I've got a kind of a trivia question that I was trying to think how can I relate trivia to Greg Morris, which I did. So I'm excited for that. But before I go to that and share my screen and kind of hop off of the spotlight on Drew, just wanted to ask one more time if anyone else had any questions for Drew, his background, Greg Morris, anything like that.
I just have a comment.
Yeah,
I really appreciate the transparency that you guys have with the cards of you list. I've been able to pick up some cards that I consider really nice that I otherwise would not be able to afford if they were graded. So I just enjoy having them in my collection. So thank you for that.
yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course,
Yeah,
of
dude,
course.
that's so true. Thank you for sharing that, Ben. I think
And look, also, to add to that, we do have cards that go off for 79 cents. We do have cards that
Yeah,
go off
I've seen
for
those.
crazy money, but Greg's biggest passion too was that, hey, look, there's going to be people that could afford the $4,000 card, but we also need to make sure that we're there for anybody who can't afford more than the $10 card. So we try to really keep every listing, and we have certain days for that too in our release of cards. But we really try to make sure that there's enough for every type of person that's going to search in the hobby.
Yeah, I picked up a 55 top St. Karen about a year ago that I love. That's beat up and stained, but it's cool to me.
yeah,
That's
that's a
awesome.
great card.
That's
I
awesome.
love that card. Yeah, that's so true. And also, you tapped into something, Drew, earlier that like I don't think people recognize the size of the amount of collectors that just collect raw cards. And you guys are kind of a reflection of the size of that market. I've talked about this with a few people before, but like a lot of people still use the Beckett magazine guides and are looking at the raw price guides for those because that's how the hobby really originated. And there are so many collectors out there still that are still only buying raw cards. They just never really subscribe to the grading ways. So it's really interesting to see that, and you being able to serve that massive of an audience is awesome. So
Yeah,
kudos
it's
to you
beautiful to
guys.
go to the national, see people sitting with their papers they printed out on the internet or their notebooks that they wrote down the card numbers that they need to search for, and
Yeah.
sitting at ththese booths one by one trying to think if they could find that upgrade. Like that stuff is that's awesome. Like you're not going to see that with modern
No.
collectors, unfortunately, because it doesn't really exist. But it's just such a cool
Well,
thing for vintage to see people complete these.
there's not a modern checklist collector anymore. Nobody in the
Yeah, I know.
modern card world even knows what a checklist is. They put them out. I don't know why they bother because the sets are impossible to follow. There is like the checklist for the insert subsets that I think maybe some people might follow, but
And
like the
I've seen there's been some people that have come across us trying to sell those too. I've seen them.
yeah,
I still get a little confused on them, but they're
they're
people
out
do
there.
it. They do it.
So what I want to do, and I also, Drew, by the way, you're an honorary member now of the Bonkers Cards Club. I'll make sure to
I
upgrade
appreciate it.
your email so that you always get these invites. You're always welcome to come back, hang with the crew whenever you
Yeah,
want.
for sure.
If anybody has any questions, Andy, if you want me to intro you over to Drew, if you've got some stuff that you want to sell, whatever you guys want to do, email me, shoot me a DM, email Drew, let him know. We'd be more than happy to get you set up. I'm really excited to share. I've got my biggest consignment yet with them, and I wouldn't do it unless I fully trusted and believe in Drew and his guys there. So my full stamp of it, man. Thank you so much for doing all that.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to share my screen. All right, you guys ready for this trivia question? So Drew was gracious enough to bring, I said we like to do giveaways on the Bonkers Cards Club meetings, and he stepped up. This is quite the giveaway. We've got a stunning 59 Sandy Koufax in an SGC 5.5 slab. Drew, you got it in hand? Show it off.
Yeah, got it right here.
Beautiful. So I've got a trivia question on the next slide, and the first person who submits the answer correctly in the chat will get the Kofax. Just send me your shipping info. We'll get it straightened away. I can't tell if somebody's going to get this super fast, like in 10 seconds, or it'll make them think. Um, but let's see. Let's see how it goes. So the question, in honor of Greg Morris being the guest tonight, can you name the Hall of Fame player with the same initials, GM? Let's see. I'm monitoring chat. I believe there's only one Hall of Famer with these initials, and Rick, he's got it. Greg Maddox.
That's
That is it. Greg Maddox is the only Hall of Famer that I saw with the initials GM, and that is it. There he is. There's his classic '87 Donruss rookie with that stash. And Rick, congratulations. You're going home with a beautiful Sandy Koufax card. Very cool, man. Rick, you stoked on
That's
that or what? Let me unmute him. Rick, congrats, man.
it's awesome.
You're a Clement. You have a Koufax in the collection?
I've got a couple, nothing that nice.
Okay, there we go. Well,
nice.
congrats.
Awesome.
I love it. Well, good stuff. So, Drew, the other thing I do on the call before we kind of just have open dialogue, just kind of chatting it up. And Rick, shoot me your shipping address. I'll get it to Drew so he can get the card shipped. Um, we've got guess the card. So I do a zoom in of a vintage baseball card. There might be one card not a baseball card this week, but we'll see. And same thing, same format. Guys have to drop in the chat, see if they get it. There's a notorious couple of guys that are unbelievably good at this game. So we'll see how they go. There's one or two cards that I made like kind of niche. So we'll see if people can still pull them. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard. So we'll do this one as the first one. Can we guess the card here? Drew, you got this one.
I don't think I do, but I could take a good guess.
Let's see. And there it is, Tim Galvin. Tim Galvin got it. 1933 Sport King Babe Ruth. I'm obsessed with the Sport King set right now. That is just the center chest of the card. I love this set. It's like I'm very excited to collect it. I picked up a couple in LA, and I think it's a beautiful set. I love how it crosses sports and different categories. All right, so that was one of the easier ones. So we're gonna dial it up a little bit. What we got on this one? Honor of the Olympics with the red, white, and blue. Tim Galvin, he's got it. Jordan Starr. Do we got a year? I want a year. I want the year and the player. 84, that's right. 84 Star Jordan. I just closed the deal on this card this week. It is the first time I ever sold a Star Jordan card, which was super cool. I sold a Beckett 7.5. Lovely card. To me, this is his rookie. I don't know if that's a hot take. I'm more team Star Jordan, I think, now than 86 Fleer. I do have a nice 86 Fleer currently in a 9.5, but for me, I like this card. The red pops. I like it more in a PSA slab than a Beckett slab. All right, next one. This one. What do we think on this one? I'm going to remove Drew as a spotlight because I want to see people pondering. This one might be a little bit harder. Threw an eyebrow in there.
Take the guess if you want it. Oh, there it is. That's what I thought it was.
Andy Lipson. He calls it from the top rope. Andy.
There you go, Andy. That was my guess. Good job.
Hold on, Andy. You're on mute. I'll unmute yourself. I can't hear you talking.
I was saying that's one of the sets I was collecting, so that's why I knew that.
You've seen that one before. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
the 57 set. First set with original photography, which is super neat. And just a pretty card.
One of the hardest sets to get centered cards by far.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
registry at the very top for 57 tops is like there's notoriously no tens in a lot of key Hall of Fame cards because of the centering debacles. All of these
Well,
sets.
I don't have any tens, so don't worry about that.
I do have a Drysdale and an 8.5 in here somewhere, which is a pretty badass card. All right, next one. Going vertical on you guys. Tim Galvin has been money. I see him. Babe Ruth, who am I? Babe Ruth, look and see. Technically, it is a Babe Ruth look and see. I love it. Ben Lewis. Good job. Tim, I saw the gears cranking there for you. I love this Babe Ruth card now. This is an all-timer. Good stuff. And now,
Well, Gordy, I gotta hop off real quick because I do have to run.
good
I
stuff,
just wanted to tell you thank you very much. I'll definitely be on again. And if you guys do have any questions or anything, Gordy could pass along my info, message Gordy too, whatever you guys need. Even if it's a hobby question, I don't care. I give up my cell phone on a regular basis. Love chatting about cards, just like Gordy does. So
And
if you guys ever need help in anything, you ever need help in even looking at a card to see if it's worth buying, feel free to reach out to me. Does not matter.
yeah, thank you so much, Drew. Your time is so appreciated. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll be following up,
Of
man.
course.
See you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Later, man. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we've got one more to go. I think this was going to be the hardest one that I picked. Yeah. Who's got this one? I want to know where we got it. I got you guys stumped. That's what I wanted. I wanted to get one that really made you guys look at it a couple times. I will say, this is a Hall of Famer, and I purposefully put the team logo in the card to make it a little bit easier. The other thing is, I purposely put the first letter in his name and his autograph on the card in the inscription. So I'll give it another minute, see if anybody can get it. You probably can guess the set based on the design. And there we go, Jason. Jason Drumheller. Bang! 1959 Mini Minoso. That's what I'm talking about. That is impressive.
That was a hard one.
That is not an easy one. Andy says impressive. I love it. Well, good stuff, guys. Those are some of the guest the cards this week. And Rick, make sure that you DM me your shipping address. Congrats on getting the trivia question on the Kofax. What I had for kind of just general discussion for the club meeting tonight, you guys can obviously come off of mute. I just try to get everyone muted for when the guests here speaking, just to make it clear. And again, I will get this entire meeting published and then emailed out to the club members after for the fact. So if anybody has to go, leave early, miss the beginning, whatever, you'll catch the full convo with Drew. But want to get your guys' thoughts because the state of card grading is changing a lot. PSA has upped their prices again, I think second time in 6 months. And I made a big decision just last week in LA. I had a lot of cards that would grade pretty well. I would say anywhere between 4 and 6, some of them even higher, 7 or 8. The Greg Morris team told me 2 of the cards that I had will probably grade 8 if I chose to send a grading. And I still decided to sell them raw directly to Greg Morris. And part of the reason that I did that was because A, the cost of grading is high. B, the turnaround time is getting extremely long. You've got upwards of 60, 70 days people are waiting now on their cards that they're sending in. And I want the cards back. I want to get the return on the cards if I'm not choosing to keep them and I'm choosing to sell them. I'm going to send, most likely choose a different route. I sent some stuff to SGC. But I want your guys' thoughts. For me, if it's stuff that I'm collecting and I want it graded, yeah, I'm going to still go to grade. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts, even from the collecting perspective, as much like has anything changed on your mind, and just what is the general consensus of where you guys are thinking about grading?
Yeah, I'm interested to know if people are just going to start. Like, is anybody's strategy changing? Like, are you going to start buying raw instead of graded, or even send in for grades?
It depends really on like what you want as collecting, like
Yeah.
if it's stuff that you want for your personal collection. Like I like to see the cards graded. I think having them encapsulated is important to me for like keeping them in nice shape for a long period of time. But for me, like I am very happy. The other comment I wanted to make too, as a big SGC guy, PSA came out, or collectors came out and said, we are reinvesting in SGC. As you know, we had thought they moved a lot of graders from SGC in their offices to PSA. Literally, PSA moved employees into that Boca Raton office and said, you guys are now grading PSA cards. So they diminished a lot of the SGC resources. And we just heard from Drew, it takes a long time to teach a grader and to up those resources. But they did say SGC is not going anywhere, and we will continue to invigorate that brand. It's going to take some time. So that is a huge angle that I am trying to tell anybody that will listen to me, especially on the higher end SGC graded stuff. There is a huge discount currently in the market because of concerns over the future over SGC. But everything that they've said and all of their actions show that SGC is not going anywhere. And in fact, I think it'll be thriving once they can get the resources up. So I think it's a matter of like, do people still feel like they're going to send their cards in to grade at these prices if they're choosing to resell them? Do they have any change of opinion on where they want to get them graded? That's all type of stuff that I wanted to just hear your guys' perspective on.
I'll say
Yeah,
vintage
Andy.
stuff I'm still sending into SGC.
Yeah. Oh, Ted, was that you speaking?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, my camera flipped off.
Yeah, yeah. So you're
Yeah,
still sending stuff to SGC?
yeah, like particularly like the T206s. I
Yeah,
really like the way those look in the
I do
SGC.
too.
And then the 50 stuff for sure. Especially the port like the 56s and all and the larger cards look a little better in the SGCs.
Yeah, I agree. I like SGC still a lot. I mean, that I sent probably 20 or 25 cards to SGC and then sent the rest to Greg Morris on this latest collection purchase that I had. Didn't send any to PSA because I just don't like the turnaround time. And I think the return on card between, SGC or nice raw stuff is somewhat similar. Andy, I saw you raising your hand. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I used to, other than buying raw for any sets I'm trying to work on, but I pretty much just buy slabs now. I just the inconsistency with the grading and the cost and the wait time, and then you get disappointed, and it's just not always, but generally you get disappointed. I just have kind of resorted to that at this point, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. I'm super, as somebody that's been in the hobby pretty closely for the last few years now, the one area of the hobby that I don't spend a lot of time in is grading. I don't send a lot of stuff out. I hate the process of it. It doesn't bring me a lot of joy, and I typically am disappointed. I see a comment that came in from Paul. He said, Gordy, did Drew give you a feel for what those raw cards would return? He did. They told me that there was a spec very, detailed. Like if you had to look at it with a magnifying glass, there's a spec on the card that's kind of mounded onto the card. And he thinks that a PSA grader would grade it a 6. And if you look at the card, it's very difficult for me to say like that's a 6. I bought it with the expectation it was at least a 7. So he said to me, we're gonna grade it on the site most likely as a 6, but the eye appeal of the card is super premium, so it'll likely sell for more than a 6. And if I put it in a PSA 6 slab, it's gonna only sell in that PSA 6 range. So for me, that's why I decided to sell it raw. And we'll see how it works out. Chris, I see your hand raised. What's up?
Yeah, no, I was just going to chime in. First off, I think, with the price of PSA going up, it's an interesting business model, right? Their service got worse and their prices went up. It's a longer wait. But I think, from the cards that I sell, like I'm doing more with Greg Morris because, as you know, Gordy, I don't have the high end stuff that you have necessarily, but sometimes they get slabbed prices or better for raw. And obviously now the threshold is different with the higher prices of grading.
Yeah.
For my personal stuff, I'm still going with SGC. And Gordy, I'm glad that you said what you did. I hope they don't go away. And I love this, the tuxedos, and I'll
Yeah.
keep sending and waiting. But I can't just do the PSA anymore. It's just I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
I still stand by it. I talked to several of my clients today that buy it at a very high level, looking for like super in investment grade stuff, like grades 8, 9, and 10 of vintage Hall of Famers, and brought it up to them again and would tell anybody. Like I thoroughly believe that a lot of the high grade SGC stuff is still really underpriced to market because at the end of the day, even in the event, which it's not going to happen, that SGC is going to go away. The card is still in that holder and it's still a really sharp, really nice looking card. And if for whatever reason you needed to cross it one day, there's still a very good likelihood that that card would maintain the grade at PSA. There are certain cards for sure that are in SGC 9 holders that wouldn't be PSA 9s. But a lot of the time, the market discount, just because of the holder that it's in, to me is worth the buy, especially if you're holding long term. And I still believe the whole market for sports cards is in a huge uptrend right now. And we don't have to spend a ton of time talking about it, but I do think that what happened earlier this week at Golden with the Pikachu Illustrator card, which sounds ridiculous, for $16 million does impact the vintage sports card market because more eyeballs are on the hobby, more people are seeing collectibles and trading cards as an alternative asset, or at least turning on their TVs and hearing about Golden and sports cards and being like, oh, doesn't Johnny, our buddy, doesn't he do that? And then it opens up that conversation. And I do think there's going to be downstream effects to that. So, it's a really exciting time to be in the hobby, man. And I see Dan Weiss has got his hand up in there. I'd love to hear, Dan, what you thinking?
Yeah, what's your take on NBA and their grading beside the stickers and the diamonds?
So glad that you brought that up. Awesome question. I think it relates a lot to what we're talking about. When I was on the West Coast and I was at the show, I think within the first 2 hours I was there, I probably spoke to 15 to 20 people, and half of them brought up Mike Baker and NBA stickers. And, I've known about it for a while, but it was like, it almost felt like I was on like Impractical Jokers. Like it was a bit. I was like, why is everybody fucking talking about this guy? Like, what is the deal? And a lot of it is because dealers that are selling his cards are getting massive premiums to the collectors that want to buy them. And I think it's not related to the NBA slab as much as the NBA sticker. I spoke to a client of mine today who is a big believer in NBA stickers, loves to buy it, and I've sold him some of them. And he said to me as to why he feels comfortable paying premium is that he likes that there's a third party that's giving him the sense of confirmation that this is a good looking card. He's somewhat newer to the hobby last few years, like investing real capital into it. And for somebody like him, who was one of the original graders, somebody that has a huge reputation in the hobby for grading, to bless the card and say, yeah, this is a premium example of this card in this grade means a lot. And so collectors that have like the longer term scope and want to invest more money into cards, like the NBA sticker seems to be a draw. I am dying to get to sit down with him. I got introduced to him from a couple of people and haven't yet been able to have like a longer form conversation. I'd love to have him as a guest, either on my podcast or on the club meeting. I think, his career in the card space is, pretty legendary. He's graded a lot of iconic cards, and people really like his slabs. And I think because of the fact that you're seeing long turnaround times from PSA and SGC, he's going to actually put cards in slabs. Like NBA slabs are starting to get out into the market. And he's going to run into the same challenge that everyone else is. Like, if his demand gets too high, he's going to need more graders. And the fact is, like, there's not a lot of them out there, and it's not a difficult, easy business to scale. But for right now, it is certainly the Mike Baker show for card grading. Thank you for the question, though, Dan. I definitely wanted to bring that up tonight. Andy, yeah, comment on that.
I'm glad that Dan brought that up because I have some cards that I paid a premium for because wow, it's a really nice 4 or 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to, kind of say, oh, do I want to crap that and send it and maybe worst case scenario make it the same grade but this MBA thing, it's kind of got me thinking maybe that's the better route to go to try to get the diamond or whatever, something that shows that the card is better than the average 6 or whatever number it equates to. So it's kind of I'm leaning. I've never used them. I don't even know much about them, but I started reading them about them a few days ago and kind of maybe considering that for some of those cards.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something that you like, I see some guys that only collect NBA silver diamond cards. They like the way they display in their case. And, I will never knock anybody with how they want to collect, man. That is the beauty of collecting. You can have any type of collecting taste. You could collect specific Hall of Famers, players, teams, years, sets, whatever you want to do, and condition, grades. That's what makes it so fun. Look, I've got my first NBA silver ever. I picked this up today in a deal. It's a gorgeous 33 Gehrig SGC 25, and it's got the NBA silver on it. So
that's nice.
Yeah. Now it's kind of a matter of I love this card and I don't really even want to sell it. I very rarely feel this way. Like when I go into a deal on a card, like I tell myself ahead of time, is this PC card or not? And this was one like the guy offered it to kind of bridge the gap where we were a few $1,000s off. He included some more cash and then came up with this card, and I was like, damn, I don't know if I want to sell that when I get it in. I like it so much. But yeah, man.
That's sweet. That's nice. I like the way that looks.
Dude, I could share some pictures. I might post it on my Instagram because one of the things, honestly, this is a bit of a side tangent. I'll keep it brief, but a couple of years ago when I first started doing sports cards full time, it was my first time being an entrepreneur solo. it was a big adjustment for me. And I read the book Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. It was like a month after I quit my corporate job and taught me a lot about the importance of discipline. And there's a full chapter in the book about Lou Gehrig. And he was like disciplined to the point, he was disciplined to the point that it was almost psychotic. Like he was so consistent and he was so disciplined in every part of his life. And that was why he was so successful. Obviously, he was very well known for his consecutive game streak. He got hit by a pitch in his head, and his head swelled up so big that he had to go to the hospital in the middle of the game. And he came back the next day and he still played. Rumor actually was that he had to use Babe Ruth's hat for that game because his head was swollen. And it kind of like, obviously, that's not healthy. Like, he should have taken time off, but it showed like his commitment to consistency and discipline. And when I saw this card, I thought about that book and that time of my life. And I was like, man, this is a difficult card for me to sell, just loving Lou Gehrig and kind of what he stood for. So I love this card. I love that story. And I think that's one of the other cool parts of collecting, like what certain cards mean to you at certain times. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's true.
I see a message here from Terry Hatcher. He says, anybody going to Dallas in March? He's under the weather. Sorry you're not feeling well, man. Yeah, I not going to be in Dallas in March. I did not realize I booked a golf trip with a couple buddies the same weekend as that. So I will not be there, but it is a great show to go to. I'm going to be in West Palm Beach playing the Park, which is a new public course that just came out for any golfers. Super excited to play that.
Where do you think, or just throw one up that you, oh, you can, yeah, I'm unmuted. How much between a raw card and a graded card do you think that grading increases the value? And when did the slabs really start? Raw, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted everything graded. 10 years ago? When did that really
Yeah,
become?
I would say like a big boom in it was like, well, there's been several like upticks in the cycle of it. I mean, I would say like mid 2010s is where you started to see it become more commonplace, and like these grading companies were starting to put out really big numbers. And then in 2020, it was an absolute massive demand shock. And we are now hitting that next gear up even from that demand shock. There is still a huge price gap in raw to vintage when it's like, I would say mid grade. So like if it's a grade 3 to 6 card and it's not like super centered or anything like that, the grading value makes a huge difference. Like you've seen my show, like I only sell graded stuff live on the show. I think the price discrepancy on commons and higher grade is a little bit tighter. But then obviously when it's like a legendary Hall of Fame card, like you're never going to sell this card raw. Like this is a $10,000 card, and like you're not selling that raw. So there are certain cards like, that you probably are now starting to question like the return. Like this is a $150 card. I would say like probably still would pay the $30 to put it in a slab. Like I don't know if this would sell for 150 raw. Probably wouldn't, honestly. If I were to guess, probably sell for around $80 raw. So like play the math out there. Okay, if it costs $30 to grade, I can get 80 raw for it. It's around 110. Well, this retails between 150 and 200. Like the delta there, grade the card. It's just like for certain stuff for me, and everybody has a different tolerance as well to what the value of their time is, waiting, and things of that nature. Like if I got into cards at the right prices, you guys watch my live show. It's a little bit harder for me to sell raw cards. I don't like doing it. I don't like trying to guess the grade it would be. So I'd rather send them off. I love graded cards because it's like a commodity. Like I can tell you where the last 1054 Willie Mays SGC3 sold, and you've seen me do it over the last few years. I will always, always, always sell this card for a price in that range bound. I'm never not going to sell it. So I'm never not going to stop selling graded cards by any means. But I think in certain situations, like it is good to have a tool to be able to get liquidity out of raw cards.
Gordy, is there a reason? It's Larry. Hey, everyone.
Larry, what is up, dude? I'm so good to hear. So happy to hear your voice. I was waiting for you to chime in.
Yeah. So when you were saying that there is no way that you would sell that card, it's a $10,000 card. There's no way that anyone would ever sell that raw.
Yeah.
When you flip over to the basketball and football side of things, raw cards are being sold for way more money than $10,000. I just sold a raw auto card for 38,000.
What card? That's sick.
I still have it here. You want to see it? I'll go grab it.
Yes, I'll spotlight you so that we can show it off.
You guys go on. I'll go grab it. I built a room in my house for all my stuff, so it's no longer right behind me.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
Right, but the card. I mean, I've got a ton of raw cards that are all because talking with you, I sell a lot of stuff that I pick up to breakers that are going into repacks, and I'm getting really high. A lot of them are raw, and the cards are 8, 10. Some of them are 12, 16,000. I still have it here. I didn't ship it out yet, so
that's crazy. Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Andy, what's up?
One concern when you're buying a card like that is not how do you know it's legitimate? I mean, that's the big thing. I don't know whether it's some people say that's fake. That's not. I don't know, and I don't want to be the guy that takes the chance.
Couldn't agree more. For me, I would never buy a card raw at that price point. There are people out there clearly that will, but like that ain't me. You know what I mean? I'm a very risk averse person. So different for everybody, I guess, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind a little risk, but that's
I wouldn't even buy a card like this raw that I knew that was real. Like I can see raw cards and be like, okay, this is definitely legit, but I don't have a gauge of what it would grade, so I don't know what to offer,
Yeah, it's true. I'm dying to see that card too.
Yeah, no, that's a big number. That would be the most expensive raw card I would have ever sold. I've been selling a lot of higher end stuff lately. But yeah, that's a big one.
I'm curious, did he say it was a modern card or a vintage?
He said it was a basketball autograph card. So I'm trying to think.
Which could be modern.
Here's the post that PSA put out about a week ago. The 52 Mantle was sent in 181 times in 2025, and 112 of those were deemed inauthentic. It's not coming out on the video
so most
there.
of the time they're fake. Yeah.
So the point is you can't trust it if it's not graded. I mean, that's the point of sending it in to get graded. Why would you buy something that expensive not graded?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't want the message or the takeaway from tonight with Greg Morris's services to be like, I'm all in on raw cards only. Like you guys know this, 99% of the stuff I buy is graded and will continue to be that way. I think though, there are certain times where it makes sense, especially for somebody like Ted. It sounds like Ted does a lot of buying and selling, setting up at shows and stuff. Like it's good for people to know that there's a liquidity valve for them in those cards that are difficult to sell or like don't have the right away home in their mind. And I do think when the card looks good, sometimes it can still sell for like at pretty good prices. Like I made a video of I consigned a 54 Bowman incomplete set to him, and there was like an Enos Slaughter card in there. Like on the live show, I would sell that card for $5-10, and it sold for $50. So like that's great. And some of those common cards in that set are not like big money cards, and they have a buyer for them at the end of the day. So I love that about them, and I wanted to, share that with people that might be able to benefit from that. Because I get a lot of people that ask me like every day, my inbox from email, DMs, or whatever, people are trying to sell me stuff all the time, and I can't buy everything. So I'm trying to figure out solutions to help people that, want to still get their stuff sold. So I still think grading is going to be the way forward, and like the validation of a third party telling, a buyer and a seller like what the condition is extremely important. So I hope that's not the takeaway from tonight that I'm like all in on just raw cards, but it is good for people to know, Yeah.
Greg Morris. They're so reputable. It's like that's why they're consistent. They have great customer service. That's why they're successful.
Yeah. That's why like for me, like I've always been very protective over anybody like them being the sponsor of my show meant a lot to me, that it's like that's who I want to partner with. I want to partner with people that have that type of reputation, and I want to continue to build that type of reputation in the hobby myself. So I agree. I think that's why part of the reason they get really strong prices too. So, um, yeah. But yeah, it's been a very busy start to the year. I mean, I can't believe how strong February's been, just the amount of demand, and the show out west was super strong, but just the amount of people that are getting into the hobby, man. It's a very good time.
Jordan,
Yeah.
let me ask
back.
you. I just want to ask a quick question. That show, I've been to the national and I've been to local shows. I haven't really traveled outside of North Carolina other than to the national. I mean, how do you compare like a show like that to the national? I'm just curious.
Yeah, not quite the scale of the national. Like I'd say like the national's probably 5 to 10 times bigger, and that show is probably the second best show of the year. So like the National is the granddaddy
Yes.
by like so much
Yeah.
that there's
Yeah.
nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
But it's still a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to go to the National. I think I'm gonna have a pretty good presence there. I'm pretty excited. Don't know all the details yet, but the guys at Sports Card Nonsense Media, the guys that do my podcast, I think signed a pretty exciting partnership deal with the marketing team at the National, and I might be set up there and doing filming content, buying and stuff. So excited.
Cool.
Larry, you're back.
Yeah,
So is this a
so the
modern
card
card?
actually the card did go out, but it was a 2012 LeBron James, and I'm mistaken. The card was not graded. The auto was authenticated. I got 36 for the card.
Got it. So I
I
do
mean,
think
I mean, I also just sent out a Jordan Love, a 20. This one was definitely raw 20
right,
19
2020.
Panini.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I mean the newer cards. I mean, I got 22,000 for that, but the raw. Yeah, I mean the raw market is on the newer cars and some of the bigger
totally.
basketball, but basketball and football. I mean, it's stupid how much those cards go for raw.
You know,
Which I think at the end of the day, what's happening now with the modern market and how people are just getting crushed, people at some point are going to realize not the place to be, need to be in vintage cards.
yeah.
Let the modern market is just out of control right now.
But you like trading in it. You like playing in it.
Dude, I'm very, very careful with it. I mean, you saw that big Yamo card I picked up, right? That was
Yeah.
I've been chasing that card since Cat pulled it. I had to buy it, had to have it.
I think that's super cool. And like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's however people want to collect and the stuff that they like. I just got my first modern card for my PC. I did it. I dabbled with it.
I mean, it's fine. But going back to the grading point, I know a point was brought up. You're absolutely right. I've seen a lot of times with a lot of the vintage cards, there's like a certain plateau where an ungraded card is going to get more money than than a 4 or a 3. And I saw one. I think I even talked to you about them. Like, why is it raw higher than a grade 6? It's all the place. And then going back to your point as far as grading, whether you should grade or not, I mean, if the grading is taking way too long now.
It's so long.
I just sent out about 700 cards to grade, but
yeah, it's a lot of the modern stuff or a lot of
a lot of the modern stuff that I'm keeping and holding because I know they're modern cards, but they're not like the guys that everyone's chasing these days. Although I do have a couple that are pretty good. But I'll pay or I'll wait for them if I'm going to hold them. But you could get if you have a card that is going to, and you have to be really careful on the vintage side because I mean I have been shocked with cards where I think a card's going to get a 7 or a 6 and it came back a 2. My 71 Kari Yastrzemski. I was like, the card looks perfect to me. Came back a 2.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful because if you need to get it graded and you see a card that you think is going to grade high, it might be worth spending the extra 50 or 60 bucks or 70 bucks to have it turned around in 10 days.
Right.
And when their 10 days is usually like 15 or 20. But that's gambling because you could think you might spend 70 bucks on a card and it might come back and you lost 200 on it because you didn't keep it raw.
Yeah. No,
So
there's so much that goes into the thought
but the
process.
modern market now is going to catch up with itself, and I think I'm going to give it maybe another year before people realize that they're going poor chasing these modern cards, and then people are going to realize there's no. I mean, the swings in modern cards are just
It's too much. Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, I've been
And
trying to time my submission. It's like, I was submitting new baseball stuff like a month or so ago, knowing that it's taken 3 months, and then, start the, over the summer would submit like, basketball and football, just knowing the timing of it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point too. I mean,
At least with the modern stuff, the vintage, it doesn't seem to matter as much, but
yeah,
on the
that's a
new
good
stuff,
point. The
yeah.
way the modern market moves oftentimes goes with the seasons that the players are in and the hype that they get.
or the
Trust on
release
these quarterbacks.
that's out.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 or 5 weeks ago, Topps released their Bowman draft. Cars were flying off. People were asking crazy money for these kids that are like, still in diapers. You don't even know if they're going to make it. Crazy money out there. Your Eli Willitzes and all these potential prospects. And 4 or 5 weeks ago, first to market was getting high bucks on some of these raw cards. I mean, in the thousands of dollars for some of these raw cards. And, since in the past 4 or 5 weeks, Topps released like 4 sets.
Yep.
And those cards are, it's like old news. It's like they're good for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you're dead.
Yeah. I see a message from Dan Weiss said, "What was the modern card I got?" Right here. 2020 Silver Prism LeBron James. Very much not my collecting profile by any means. A lot of people would be like, "What the hell is that for you, Gordy?" I've always loved this card. I've always been a big LeBron fan. I love the image of him doing the Kobe tribute dunk. And I personally have a connection to it because I was at the first time I ever got to see LeBron play in person was in 2020, the game he passed Kobe Bryant in Philly. And the next day, Kobe passed away. And then a few days after that, the world went into shutdown. And it's just a really, to me, like, I saw LeBron play probably for the last time when I was at the West Coast show in the crypto arena. And then I saw this card on the show floor and I was like, you know what? I've always liked this card. I think it's a cool way to kind of remember LeBron's career for me. I don't see myself, buying any of his autos or any of his big high-end cards, but that's kind of like a cool piece for my collection just to hold on to. And it's
Hey,
cool.
you know what? You're a sports fan and a
I
card
am.
collector.
Yeah.
What you do in your business, I mean, if you personally like that card, I think that's great that you got it. Proud of you. You've now graduated.
Larry,
Great card.
there was a couple.
And Gordy, going back to, spending money on kind of modern cars. I mean, you saw the Yamamoto that I have. I mean, if that guy comes out this year and, throws his elbow out, I'd take a bath on that card. An absolute bath. I mean, since I purchased it, the value based on projected everything has gone up a lot. But you know what? It's my favorite new set that Topps releases. I love the player, love the card. Was chasing that card from the time they released that set, and then when Cat pulled it, I'm like, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna follow this. I know he's gonna get rid of this card at some point, and I'm gonna get it from him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like that.
I mean, the great thing too is that, I met him at the Garden because I have my connections with the Knicks. So I met him over at the Garden. He was talking with Yamamoto's people. They know I have the card. So it's kind of cool.
It's super cool. Yeah, there's like provenance to that. And that always adds to the desire of a card. And yeah, I love
There's only one thing that sucks about that card. It's a freaking sticker auto.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's some of the other elements of the modern world that I just don't like. I understand that. Like this is one of the other few modern cards that I picked up is this Aaron Judge, and this is a on card versus a autograph where they just sticker it and then put it on the card. Like this is more desirable than just the sticker
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it's there's a lot of nuances that goes into it. I'll never see myself like diving fully into it, but I think like as somebody who has a brand in the hobby, it's good for me to at least be familiar with a lot of it, and always love and appreciate hearing stories from it. And
All you
yeah,
got to do is follow your buddy over, clever over there, Alex.
yeah,
He's all over the place.
he's on the ball, man. Yeah, I know
He,
he's
he, he made a fortune on a shitty product today. He even put a 10-minute TikTok out on how shitty the product was. And man,
they
people were
still bought
eating
it.
that stuff up. He made a fortune on this thing after telling everyone how much the product sucked.
What product was it?
Topps released today their help me out here, whoever's the other modern
Stadium Club came out today.
Stadium Club came out tonight. One auto per box. No chrome cards. It's all paper. Not rarely a number in the card. It's so different than last year where they actually put chrome cards in.
Huh.
As far as artwork on the cards and photographs, hands down the best photographs you'll ever see on cards. But it's a paper product. It's all base. But the guy, he made a fortune on this tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple things I'll say. That is one thing I'm envious of modern collectors is that they have stuff to open and like the delight of like, I don't know what I'm gonna get and that excitement of getting a cool card. It's very difficult to have that experience in vintage. That's part of the reason that I actually did like haven't done them in a little bit, just because of where my time has been with vintage breaks. Like being able to give people a chance to maybe like, I wouldn't normally buy myself a 54 Tom Lasorda rookie, but I won this in a break and I liked the experience of like maybe opening a Hank Aaron and I got this card. Like I think that is the closest thing I've been able to simulate to that experience, because sealed vintage packs of cards go for obscene amount of money. So like the modern world like keeps having new product to chase, new players to get. There's more conversation around it, and I'm definitely envious of that.
Did you see Golden's video when he spent $30 on a pack on a pack of cigarettes that didn't have a card in it?
I saw when he opened the T206 pack. Yeah, that was in King of Collectibles, and I was on the edge of my seat. I was watching it on Netflix. I hadn't seen it on social media yet, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like this could be a massive card." And then there was no T206.
There wasn't a card in it. Not even a smokable cigarette.
Yeah, I mean that was whack. I do love that. I do like that show though. I'm in a golf simulator league in town here, and there was a guy I was playing with, and I told him what I did for work, and he goes, "Oh, like that guy Ken Golden." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I watched every episode of King of Collectibles," and I was like, "Oh, like are you a collector?" He goes, "No, like I just saw it on Netflix and I was hooked." And that's like kind of what I was speaking to earlier as well, with like how much marketing activity is happening in the hobby and things of that nature. Like it's only going to continue to grow. Like with everything that Fanatics is doing, that Golden is doing, that all the content creators are out there doing, bringing more people into it. It's I think it's in a really healthy spot. So,
And the thing about the Golden Show that's kind of cool too, it's not just cards.
yeah,
Like when he just did that one and he did that entire Pez collection, that was crazy. So even people that aren't collecting cards, he brings other things into the mix. And yeah, that Pez things was nuts. Who knew that there were even that many of those even existed?
yeah. People collect all sorts of funny stuff, man. Ben says I just saw the Cleopatra hand episode. Yeah, I haven't seen them all yet. I need to watch the Pez one still too, Chris. But
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
yeah, it is nuts, man. But yeah, good stuff. Larry, I'm glad to see you back on. I always love hearing the banter, man. I appreciate you.
I could give you stories. You have no idea.
I know. Are you down in Mexico? Or are you back in
I went down. I was there for a couple of weeks with my wife. Then we came back for a couple of days. We went to the Super Bowl, which was, the world's most boring game.
That was a boring game. Yeah.
Came back. I flew down 2 days later, and I literally just got back on Sunday.
Well, I appreciate you making time for the club meeting tonight.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I looked at it yesterday, and then it didn't get to my calendar. We still have another step.
I put it in. I put Google RSVP in the email.
Right, but there's a way that it automatically posts on people's calendars.
All
So I
right.
forgot all about it, and then I was finishing up some work and just finalizing some emails before like 8:15. I'm like, shit, there's Gordy's email again. And then of
Well,
course, you go on to Zoom today. I'm on Zoom all day long, but just when I want to get in quickly, I have to download the update and all that crap,
Right.
switch browsers. But good to see you.
I wanted to ask as well, Evan, this is your first Bonkers Cards Club meeting. How'd you like it, man? Hold on, you're on mute. Let me get you off on mute here. Unmute, yeah.
You guys are so knowledgeable. It is amazing. You guys all know your stuff in ways that I knew you guys knew your stuff, but each and every single one of you brings something different to the game too, which is
That's
pretty
awesome.
impressive.
Well, thank you, dude. I hope you stick around, come to more
I
meetings.
definitely will. Yeah.
And Rick, how about you? Did you enjoy your first meeting?
Yeah, I got a Sandy Koufax card.
That's true. How about that?
It was great because I like the dynamic of talking about old cards and not shiny, sparkly.
Yeah.
One of whatever. So.
Sandy Koufax isn't going to blow his elbow out this year.
That's right.
And his card's not going to go down.
He's not going to fail a drug test.
He's not going to go up in smoke next week.
Exactly.
But Gordy, as much as you might see all the modern stuff that I'm playing around with, I'm still playing around. I got my hands full with vintage stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's fun to look. I always say, man, collecting in the hobby in general, there's so many ways to do it, and I'll never knock anybody for what they like. I felt like I wanted to cultivate this audience, like this community, the club around vintage cards, because I
100%.
feel like it's very underrepresented for the general hobby ecosystem. And I think part of that is just like, I don't know, the vintage community was, I think, slower to adopt social media. I think that's why I got so much momentum so quickly, because I started posting social media content about vintage, and there's not a lot of people that do that. So I want to like keep building this, and the membership I want to keep focusing on growing it. One of the last things I want to ask you guys too, before we wrap for the night as well, is if there is anything specific content wise that you have enjoyed and want to see more of, more specifically related to like any articles that I'm putting out or videos that I post, like what is the type of stuff that you're like, man, I want to see more of that type of content? Anything come to mind? I know everybody's just kind of, I put
Gordy, have you put anything out on your thoughts about grading raw, not grading? I mean, not killing the grading companies. Like, I don't know how Alex does it. He just slaughters the grading companies on his stuff. But what we talked about here, and your thoughts on grading, and do you keep it raw? Where is that cutoff? And just educate people on, if they have a card and they're thinking about grading, really do your homework. I think a lot of people, from what I've seen out there, and I watch a lot of these whatnot, people pushing vintage cards, guys way overpaying for garbage, and then guys selling stuff undervalued because they don't know what they're doing. But I think knowledge is everything. People really need to do their research on potential value, what to look for, what blemishes, like you said, you didn't see a blemish on a card. I don't send a card out for grade, and I send a ton out. Fortunately, I've been able to hook up with someone who hand walks the cards through PSA. So
that's yeah.
And I can get cards back in in less than 10 days. He'll literally put a suitcase. What's that?
I think somebody was accidentally just on.
Oh yeah, but so I can get, but I look at everything. And I have a scope, and I look at a scope, and
you do have to do that level of diligence, and I didn't.
I turned a 68 PSA 4 into an 8 by just wiping a wax stain off the card, cracking it out of the slab, or a PSA 7, a 68 maze.
Yeah, that's
just by wiping the wax off the front of the card. When it came back and forth, I'm like, what's wrong with this card? Looked at it, there's a big wax stain across. Took 2 seconds to clean it up and send it back in. But I think if content, you've got tons of content. obviously, and it's all great. I watch it all the time. I laugh at a lot of stuff because you get so excited about everything, which is great. You're not boring like me in my videos. But just to let people know, if they're thinking of grading, this is what to look for. Take a look at your card ladder, your values, because they do post a lot of, prices ungraded, and you can see where that ungraded card is going to fall in. And, I think that would be kind of cool to
I
get
think
out to
that
people
could be
that
something to
don't
write.
know.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I want to write a piece for, like I said, trying to think of more club benefits and like more specific club
Yeah, for the club stuff.
So I think that would be great and just good. I see Tim just dropped a note. He needs to split. I do need to drop off in just a couple of minutes here too as well. Andy, go ahead. What's up?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Two things that I'd like to kind of continue to see or see more of. One is, I like, sometimes you have a take on the investment side. I mean, obviously, we buy cards because we love them, but when you're starting to spend more money on them, it's also an investment on some level, and kind of equating the investment side of it, and I've heard you say some stuff of that, but maybe some more content on that. Easier to justify to the wife that way, for one thing. But also younger people, like, I know I've read stuff that, everybody's gonna love cards for 100 years, but who's gonna care about these cards, if because I don't know if we're all old guys, but some of us are. Well, you're not, Gordy, so thankfully, but I think, that side of it. And I'm good after that. I know it's been a long call. So
I will continue to always have an investment lens on my writing. I think that's another reason that my content resonated with a lot of people is I had a financial background when I started doing this. And I think the concern over the vintage market dropping because the younger people won't care is just, to me, it's always been a very lazy take. Like, a lot of the really valuable T206 cards that are out there now, nobody on this planet saw any of those guys play. And so, like, there is something to be said that, like, certain Hall of Fame players will definitely probably peak that are not like the true tier ones. I always pick on Lou Brock. I don't mean to, but to
good
me,
example.
it is a great example of like a Hall of Famer that probably will lose a little bit of like steam. But the main true blue chip Hall of Famers, Clemente, Mays, Aaron, Mantle, Jackie Robinson, Koufax. Those guys are never, ever, ever going to go down in value.
Nolan
Yes.
Ryan.
Oh my God. Every time I go to Dallas at that show, I'm amazed at the amount of collectors that focus on just Nolan Ryan. Like, he is a hero in the state of Texas.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
more so than I realized until I went to a few Dallas shows and was like, holy shit, these guys really like Nolan Ryan. Because I like Nolan Ryan. But it's different in Texas. They love him. So like
we could talk about before in the morning about this stuff, but I always think of like Robin Yount, for example. He's like a incredible player. But anyway, we could talk. We'll save content for next time. But you're yawning. I'm tired. Everybody is probably.
I appreciate it. Today was a crazy day, man. I was on the road, did a big deal, and I love what I do. I think I was on the phone from probably 8 o'clock this morning till now. So I'm just like, I'm definitely starting to feel my brain get a little fried. But if there is any other questions that people have for me, you always know where to find me. You can send me emails, bonkerscards@gmail.com. If anybody wants an intro to Drew for Greg Morse Cards, please send me an email. I'll forward you over to Drew. DM me on any of the social media platforms. Make sure you're following everywhere. And then, yeah, I'll put this.
Corey, I have a quick one. When you do your newsletters, if you come across any books that you find are intriguing, can you share that?
Maybe like a little book club action or like a
Bonkers Book Club.
So
Bonkers Book
that's
Club.
how I share the hobby with my kids, because I can tell stories when I read to them, and they enjoy that.
That's a good one, Ben. Good rec.
I like that.
All right, I will do that. Great rec. And yeah, I'll keep hammering it away, man. I appreciate everybody's support more than you guys know. I'm super grateful to get to do this. We'll have this next meeting probably somewhere around March 18th. We're back to like regular cadence, middle of the month. And yeah, man, was a great meeting. Appreciate everybody for jumping on, man.
Gordy, I'm going to call you tomorrow. I have a funny question for you. So.
All right. Sounds good, man. I'll talk to you
All
later.
right. Talk to you.
Bye.
You easy, guys.